Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back or welcome to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am very relaxed and comfy and excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 228. If you missed my last episode, number 227, it is a good one. I shared with you all how to feel excited like a kid on Christmas morning. I don't know about you, but I am craving feeling excitement like you felt on December 25th when the morning came and you were just so excited to run downstairs or wherever it was for you. For me, it was run downstairs and to just feel the magic of Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you can just imagine like a really exciting time of your childhood and wanting to feel that excitement again and craving just that feeling of looking forward to something that you feel you haven't felt in a long time. Oh my gosh, the amount of times I just said feel, felt, feeling. Anyways, rough introduction. For today's episode, as you can see, if you're watching video, I'm laid back in my chair for a couple of reasons. The first reason is my back is killing me. My head is killing me. But third, because I just wanted to be a little more relaxed today, which very much ties into what we're going to talk about. And to be honest, I have some structure, but I don't really know what we're going to talk about. I have an idea. And like always, I like my episodes to kind of come from a place of flow once I get momentum going. I typically have somewhat of a spark of inspiration and then I jump on it and I see what happens. And as you can also see if you're watching video, I have not put myself together today. I took a shower and I decided today is a sweater and sweatpants kind of day. I'm like, I'm not doing it today. The makeup, no. Hair, no. It's just one of those days and I'm loving it and I'm feeling it and I'm so excited. I'm on my lunch break right now. It has been an insanely busy day with work today. I have a huge event tomorrow, which is a youth mental health symposium that I am planning locally. And I just needed to take a break from my computer and doing some of that work to do something that I love and is more creative so I can go back to that, which I do still love that work, but it's a different love, if you know what I mean. And today I wanted to talk about the idea around really how we view ourselves. And what I mean by that is each of us have this internal hard drive in our mind that has been dictated and painted and connected from our experiences, from our upbringing, from our parents, people we've invested time in, where we've gone to school. Everything has kind of made us like this little computer. Our brain is like a computer, and it starts to paint blueprints of how we think we should feel and act based on the information that it has received externally. The reason I wanted to talk on this is because recently I've been like really craving a different version of myself, but I keep coming back to the same narrative. I keep falling back to my default pattern. And that's because so many of the things that I'm surrounding myself with it's like a code. It's like my brain just keeps getting shown all this evidence of why it should go back. And so it's really hard to try to pave a new way when everything that surrounds you is the old life. And I thought of times in my life when I've made drastic changes. And the difference of finally getting out of old cycles and stepping into new was removing myself from old friendships, was removing myself from certain jobs that I had, environments that I lived in, relationships that I was in, foods I was consuming, etc., etc. And the only way that I was able to start to paint a new life for myself was to remove external things. And it's important for us to realize how our brain works. As someone who is such a victim of being in my head all the time, I had to start to contemplate for myself, and this has been a huge area of reflection for me in the last 24 hours, is how much is my life being dictated because of what I'm allowing into my energetic circle? How much is my hard drive already dictating the outcome of my life? Not to bash or negatively talk where I live or my environment, but unfortunately, a lot of things that are very normalized where I live are not things that are super in alignment for me. And things that are super in alignment for me aren't very common. I am someone who adores personal growth and personal development. I adore having deep conversations and getting to know people at the core and talking about trauma and the brain and becoming better versions of ourselves. I'm someone who doesn't really love drinking very often. I don't like how it makes me feel. And unfortunately, where I live, that's something that's very glorified and normalized to just drink all the time. And so I very much have been brought up and exposed to a way of living that my soul, intuition, and higher self does not resonate with. And it's been so hard to always feel like the one that's different, the one that wants to go against the grain, wants to swim against the current. And if you listen to the show, I would go as far as to say, I'm sure there's a part of you that resonates with that. There's a part of you that has felt different your whole life, has felt like you want different, but you're uncertain of what that is, and you find yourself comparing and just feeling empty. The reason I keep bringing it back to that internal computer is because if that's what your computer has been designed to feel as normal, everything else is always going to feel more challenging. It's going to feel outside your comfort zone. But the reason I wanted to do this episode is because as someone who decided that I don't really care. I don't care if I don't fit in. I don't care if I'm lonely. I don't care. And I don't say I don't care lightly. It's taken me a long time to get to this place. But I care more about my experience while I'm alive and my blueprint that I'm going to leave and my impact that I'm going to make for my life and for my children's life and their children's life. And I really care and feel like each of us have a responsibility to lean into our intuition and not just that internal automatic computer that has been preset for us. That is when the hard work comes in, because that means that you have a job to do things that are uncomfortable, that go against the grain. Every time, and this is back to like the alcohol example, anytime that I say that I don't want to go out, and this was really, not really in the last couple of years, but kind of when I started to not want to drink anymore, and I would tell people that I didn't want to go out, it was like the most confusing thing in their brain. It was like, well, you always wanted to, why don't you want to now? And it was taken so personally. And I struggled with that for a really long time until I had to just get okay with choosing me. Because the more that you choose you and the more that you choose the things that feel right for you, the closer you're going to get to living a fulfilling life. To me, self-love is it. The more that I unpack self-love in my own journey and when I'm talking and podcasting and speaking to others, the more deep I realize that it goes. Because if you're living your life every single day, not for yourself, I don't know if you'll ever get to a place of true self-love. To me, self-love holds like this little component of physical. But to me, it's so much more mental and internal. It is your quality of life. It is your purpose, your fulfillment. And until that is kind of healed and dealt with, I don't know if we can ever reach a place of true self-love, because our physical externally is always going to change. It's going to change over time. I look at myself even in the last year, I physically have, my appearance has changed. And so if I fall in love with one version of myself and then my body changes or whatever, it's like you gotta rinse and repeat. But if we get to know our soul, and that's when we really need to turn that internal computer off. We need to turn it off and we need to get into our heart and our soul and what it's craving. We put up these walls and these protectors of thinking that we need to look a certain way so our friends perceive us as a certain image that they hold about us in their consciousness, or what we think strangers will think of us, right? We all have like an ego part of us, and an ego is a great thing, but when it starts to overstep and it starts to control you and keep you small and take you away from living a quality life, which I think so many of us are stuck in. I really, again, this episode is really just about the point of Is your internal dialogue and thoughts and process and truths incorrect from what actually makes you happy? Are you even aware of that? Is your coding straying you in a direction that you think is going to make you happy, but really isn't? And listen, we've all gone down that path. We've all tried things that we thought were right for us. We thought were aligned, we thought would bring us joy and happiness, and then we start to embark on that path and we're like, I don't like this, but it's a lesson learned. But when we just tell ourselves that because our parents did a specific thing or the people around us are doing certain things that we need to, we're always going to struggle. I feel like if you're feeling extra tired, if you're feeling uninspired, you're feeling blocked, you're feeling confused, kind of low energy, I would bet money that you're just not living in alignment. And you need to dictate for yourself what living in alignment looks like. To me, living in alignment is going to look completely different than you. And I know that there's areas of my life that have felt like they're in alignment, but there's a lot of areas that do not. And that is my responsibility. There are so many cups that are empty for me. My spiritual cup is like an all-time low. Spirituality is something that makes me me. And I've neglected it because my internal computer has scanned my environments and nobody else is really into those things. And so it's caused me to kind of shut that off. But instead, I need to do the work inside and say, no, you know what? Just because this isn't showing up outside doesn't mean that I don't have a responsibility to do the things to look for it, to find opportunity, to get rid of old things, to bring in new. So much of changing our mind is about having to get rid of the old. Things that aren't serving you, and we might think things are serving us. Just because they're familiar doesn't mean that they're serving your life. That was one of the hardest pills for me to swallow when I started to choose myself. Just because it's familiar and it's comfortable does not mean that it's what's best for your life. Your brain's just gotten used to it. It's safe. When we step into the unknown and there's uncomfortability, it's like, of course our brain's gonna kind of freak out. I wonder how many things in your life are that. They just feel safe and certain, and so you keep them around. But what if you're blocking yourself from experiencing a whole other realm of opportunities and excitement? I wonder what makes you excited. What is it that makes you excited? Can you even answer that question? If I was asked that question, I'd have to think about it for a minute, but then I'd be able to hammer some things. And if you can't answer that question, boom, right there is your red flag. You've likely fallen victim to following patterns of those around you, which again, is okay. But you have to be willing to do the work to change that. Sorry, my dog is barking and it always derails my train of thought. I'm hoping she's gonna stop here in a minute. Maybe we can just like sing a little song and hope that she helps. Or hope that she stops. I completely lost my train of thought. I had to go and tell her to stop barking. So I don't really know where my last point ended. Hopefully it landed. I'm not really sure if it did or not. Really, my message through this whole podcast episode is this. I need you to take a step back from your life for a second. I need you to take the time. It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. It doesn't matter. Right now we are in new moon energy. This is the perfect time to do this. Take a step back from your life for a minute and just ask yourself the questions. Are you living in a life where things excite you? Do you feel you have fallen victim to acting and doing the things because the people around you are doing those things? Do those things actually align with you? Do they fill you up? Do they spark anything within you? Are you happy with the life that you are mapping out for yourself? Are there things that you would look back and you would change? Are there moments where your intuition is speaking to you and you are not listening because it's comfortable and you're scared of the unknown? This is one of the hardest things ever, is because listening to our intuition we know is right. I had this conversation with myself this morning. My intuition has never, ever steered me wrong, ever. Yet there's times that it speaks to me and I'm like, please stop, because it's scary, because often it means making hard decisions when we don't know the outcome. But I don't know about you, but I would rather live a life where I'm listening to my intuition and making scary choices if it results in me living a higher quality, better, more fulfilling life. Don't look back and regret things. Don't look back and wish you had done things differently, spent more time doing things you love, invested the time looking for more aligned friends or people. Don't do things just because you feel obligated, because you will always come out short and feel like your life is meant for more. Your life is meant for so much greatness, so much happiness, so much fulfillment, so much joy and pleasure. But when you're allowing things externally because of that internal computer and that internal hard drive, you're always going to feel unfulfilled, unmotivated, and maybe even a little depressed. So I hope that if anything, this doesn't sadden you, this inspires you, because that means that you get to decide what to do, which is one of the most refreshing things to come back to when life is tough, is that you have control of your life. You have control to steer it, to guide it. It doesn't matter how many times you need to turn the wheel, or if you crash, turn the other way. Try a different way. Rinse and repeat your whole life. So I hope you take the time to take some action. Take the time to reflect. Take some time to get to know you and your heart and what self-love means to you and what picture you want to paint for these next chapters of your life. So thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I hope that you enjoyed. I apologize about the chaos. I hope that, again, I made my point that I was trying to make and it landed. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you. So until next week, I hope you have an incredible weekend and I look forward to chatting with you then. Bye, you guys.